Hey Tubies, it's Psychic Bob. Well, here I am today. I'm just meditating on the pentacle. I'm getting in my witch mode today, and I put on my silver pentacle. Isn't this nice on a silver chain? I just love that, so shiny. And I put on my mystical blue sapphire ring today. How you like that? It looks black on camera, but it's actually a midnight blue and set in sterling silver. And it's a real sapphire. And today I got on my Jupiter ring for prosperity and success because there are a lot of Jupiter transits this week. If you saw my horoscopes on Monday, you know all about the energies of this week. So I'm just trying to work with that energy flow. Well, I am so glad you guys are here today because we're going to talk about an amazing and mystical subject. We're going to talk about veiling. That's right, the pagan practice of wearing the veil. When we talk about veils today, most people think about Islam because there are many Islamic people in the United States now who wear the hijab, which is a form of veil. And if you ask the Muslim women, they say it's a sign of, reverence and honoring God, and they wear the veil. And I think it looks very nice. I saw a Muslim woman recently. She had this beautiful veil. It was all silk and it had like gold woven in it and little gemstones. And I thought, well, that's really nice. She looks so elegant. And I think wearing the veil really does bring kind of a level of reverence to a person. And, not only in Islam, but the Roman Catholic tradition also has the tradition of wearing the veil. Now, of course, there are nuns who wear the veil. And also in the pre-Vatican II church, when I was younger, a lot of women still went to church and they'd put on a lace veil called a chapel veil. And all of these veils were worn by various people in all the religions of the day to, in a sense, reverence God. It's a sign of saying we're doing something sacred and we're honoring ourselves. So I think it's a beautiful tradition. In fact, I'm going to put up here some pictures for you of Islamic veils and Catholic veils. So take a look at these. So aren't those interesting? And those are veils that you'll still see commonly today. And anyways, but it's interesting. There's been a lot of discussion in the Wiccan community in the last few years about Wiccans taking the veil. That's right. In the ancient pagan traditions, people also wore veils. Particularly in ancient Rome, women took the veil. But a lot of people don't know this. Men also took the veil. That's right. And in today's modern Wiccan tradition, both male and female are again taking the veil. In fact, let me put up some pictures here. These are some pictures of pagan veils. And you'll see like different statues of women. Some of these are Vestal Virgins, some are just Roman goddesses. And we're also going to have some male images of males wearing the veil. So take a look at these. Aren't those beautiful? Well, you see, so in the modern Wiccan and pagan movements today, there are many people who feel that we too should reclaim our ancient tradition of the veil. Now, before we get into this, I know, as sure as I sit here, there's going to be somebody who's going to write and say, well, Psyche Bob, why should we pagans and Wiccans wear the veil? Isn't that a sign of being ashamed of yourself, that you're just cowering away from God and hoping that he doesn't see you? No, it has no such meaning. The wearing of the veil in Wicca is a sign of being set apart. It's a sign of reverence. For example, it's in a sense you can think of it as putting on your best for the god and the goddess. For example, this weekend we have the royal wedding coming of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, okay? Now, if you got an invitation to that wedding, would you show up in your ragged out blue jeans with holes in it? No. You'd go out and put on your best dress or best suit, best tie. Even those of you who don't normally wear a tie, you'd wear a tie this weekend, I tell you that. And why do we do that? Because it's a sign of saying, this is a special day. This royal wedding is important, and we wish to bring ourselves to to honor the presence of those who have invited us. So when we go to special events, we don't just wear special clothes for ourselves. We wear it as a sign. Our message is that I am really honoring you by wearing my best, and I come with reverence and joy to be in your presence. And so if we would put on our best suit to go to a job interview or to go to a wedding or a special event, wouldn't we want to put on our finest, in a sense, for the gods? Now, in the ancient tradition, the gods were more honored by veils rather than necessarily suits and dresses, though there were specific temple clothes in many ways. But among many of the common people, the everyday people, the peasant people, even they had such a reverence for the gods that when they would enter into a celebration or ritual, they would sanctify it by wearing a veil as a sign of honoring them with their finest. And today I thought I would show you about how to wear a Wiccan veil. Now, before we get into all the fancy details, I want to just clarify that this video is for men as well as women. As you saw by previous pictures, even men wore a veil in the ancient times to honor the gods. And so if you're a guy watching and just saying, oh, I'm going to turn this off, this doesn't relate to me, I want you to go back and look at those images again, because yes, men also wore the veil. And in our modern Wiccan tradition, men again are choosing also to honor the gods by wearing a veil. So let's start with, what type of veil do you choose? Well, if you go and say, I'm looking for a pagan veil at your local shopping center, probably not going to get a lot of help. Now, for you women, you have a little more options, because you could literally go to like a Catholic supply store and ask for a chapel veil, and they'd be glad to fit you with that. And so there are some pagan women who are wearing the lace veils from the Catholic tradition, which actually I think looks very nice. That's one option. But if you're looking for something a little more kind of traditionally pagan, let me show you what I got here. This is a beautiful silk veil that I recently bought. It's actually called a shawl, okay, and it's usually worn around your shoulders. But these shawls also make excellent veils. This one is made of purple silk. And I don't know if this has a cashmere blend. Anyways, there's a type of shawl that I would encourage you to look up called Pashima. P-A-S-H-I-M-A. And Pashima is a fabric that comes out of the East, usually the Middle East. And it's a blend of cashmere and silk. And if you've ever had a Pashima scarf or shawl, whew, luxury. This one I believe is just silk. But let me open it up here. Now, you can see it's got beautiful gold embroidery on it, okay? Isn't that beautiful? I'll move up closer. You can look at the gold work. And in the traditional ancient times, people would wear clothes embroidered in real silver and gold. I don't think this is real gold, but it might be. Nowadays you can get almost anything. But this shawl, let me open it up here for you, measures about a little less than 2 feet wide. Actually, I'll step back here so you can see it. It's about a little less than 2 feet wide, and vertically, it's about 6 feet long, okay? So about 30 by 60, I'm guessing. And I bought this online. I'll put links below to where you can find stuff like this. But this is wonderful, and it makes a perfect veil. Now, how do we wear the veil? Well, if you're a male, this is how I would encourage you to wear the veil. With the veil, simply lift it over your head, drape it over, lift it back so you can be seen. For men, it's more traditional just to let the veil hang straight down. And if you research the ancient Roman rites and pictures, this is traditionally how it's worn. Now, you can let it drape over the back of your shoulders as well. In fact, I would encourage that. Let it drape down as it can. And then in the front, let it just hang down in the front. And this is the way that you can wear the veil as a pagan male. Now, if you're saying, gee, that looks somehow familiar, I think I've seen that before. Well, you may have. You might have seen it in the pagan community. But there's also a tradition of veiling men in the ancient Jewish tradition, actually even modern Jewish tradition. They wear a prayer shawl. I believe the name is a talit. And this is how the Jewish men wear it. They just simply drape it over their shoulders and head, and it hangs down. Now, you women can also do this in the pagan community and wear a veil simply in this manner as well. Many of the pagan women like to wrap the veil around them, usually over each shoulder, and fold it up a little tighter. This is a more feminine way to wear the veil. Okay, and sometimes they'll even tie it under their chin, or wrap it up a little bit, then do fancy wraps. So that's the way a woman would traditionally wear it. But for men, it's more masculine. It's more traditionally masculine, I should say, to just wear the veil straight down. Okay, and I think wearing of the veil is a wonderful, wonderful tradition. And I always wear the veil now when I go before the altar and I pray and I light candles or do ritual. There are some men and women who are now wearing the veil openly in public. I haven't yet done that, but it's something I'm thinking about doing because, as I said, wherever I go out, I see a lot of people in veils, and I've seen women Muslim women wearing veils. I've also seen Hindu women wearing veils. A lot of the Hindu women, they wear saris, and then they have a long strip, and the end of the sari goes over their head, very similar to this. And usually it's draped around. But they wear a sari with a veil like this. And so when you're in public, you'll see people doing this. And I've seen a lot of people in public, and they're asked, oh, are you Hindu? Are you Muslim? And the women talk about their veils. And they actually look very nice. But, I think we as Wiccans, as pagans, also have the right and should reclaim the veil as a visible symbol of our devotion to the gods. And so I'm really enjoying wearing a veil, and you can wear them really in any color. I wear purple, and I got this one purple and gold because I'm as the high priest of the Order of the Purple Cord. Purple is a sacred color as part of our religious order. But you can wear the veil really in any color: black, white, orange, yellow, green, blue. Doesn't matter, red. But find a veil that, I would encourage you, find a veil that represents kind of a color you associate with your god or goddess. So, for example, if you worship an ocean goddess, you might want to wear a blue veil. Or if you worship a sun god, you might want to wear a yellow or red or orange or gold veil. For example, the goddess Isis, a lot of times is associated with the color blue and the color green as well. So I could equally wear a green veil or a blue veil because those colors traditionally represent her as well. So if you're choosing a veil, you might want to look up, for example, color correspondences associated with your god and choose a veil of that color. Or, simply choose a veil that makes you feel connected, whether it's traditional color or not. But I can tell you as a worshiper of the great ancient mother, when I put on my veil, I feel very connected. Now, the veil, as I said, was also used in ancient Roman cultures. Men, particularly male priests in the temple, wore veils. And it was also used in the ancient Jewish culture, particularly by men who would go to the temple to pray. And so the veil, as I said, has an ancient tradition. And since other religions around the world are wearing their veils, I think it's a wonderful sign. And some people will say, oh, well, I don't need to veil myself. I'm not ashamed. But as I said earlier, it's not an issue of shame, like I'm hiding from God. It's that I'm saying, I have consecrated myself, and I wear this as a badge of my reverence, you see. And I think it's a wonderful, wonderful way to have a spiritual tradition, it's interesting we talk about veils. In the ancient goddess tradition, the Hindu tradition, there's the ancient goddess Maya. And Maya is believed to be the goddess who like her reality is that she veils everything with matter. So, for example, like when we go into the world in like a Hindu tradition, you say all of the trees, all of the rocks, all the plants are veilings over the truth of the goddess. And Maya veils this. So it also represents, the veil means that there is truth behind the outer appearance. So as we're covered in our veils, inside dwells a person connected to deity. Talking about the most famous of veils, what about Virgin Mary? Many of you who are Catholic or former Catholic know about Mother Mary. She's always wearing the veil. And back in the Middle Ages, there was a big tradition of having relics of the veil of Mary. And I actually saw one of the relics that was claimed to be a piece of Mary's actual veil. So pretty interesting stuff, So I wanted to bring this here to you today. And I thought, to celebrate the energy of the veil, we'd have a little invocation. And this invocation comes from the Fellowship of Isis, which I'm a member of. And it's written by Lady Olivia Robertson. And this is from the book Maya, Goddess Rites for Solo Use. This is for people that want to worship the goddess at home that maybe don't have access to a group or temple. So I thought we'd do one of the daily prayers to the Great Mother here. And, we've got our beautiful goddess Isis here. Isn't she beautiful? Look at that. So let's do this prayer as we honor the Great Mother. Holy Goddess Isis, Mother of all beings, come to our hearts. Grant us thy children love and joy, wisdom and abundance. We offer thee our loving care for all who are born of thee. So mote it be. See, isn't that a beautiful prayer? And that's again taken from Maya, Goddess Rites for the Solo Use. And it's interesting because the name Maya is the Hindu goddess that is the veil over divinity. Isn't that interesting? So next time you're out in the park and you feel inspired, stop and say, all of this veils divinity. We're going to do another invocation. This is another one that's to the goddess Isis. Now, just so you know, if you venerate a different goddess or god, that's okay. I'm just using Isis today as an example for invocation and wearing the veil because that's who I honor. But you can certainly adapt any of these to honor any of the gods that you honor. So we're going to do this. This is from Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner by Scott Cunningham. This is his Isis invocation. Isis of the moon, you who are all that ever was, all that is, and all that shall be, come, veiled queen of the night. Come in the scent of sacred lotus, in the scent of the sacred lotus, charging my circle with love and magic. Do descend upon my circle, I pray. Oh, blessed Isis. So mote it be. So you see, what you could do as a part of your daily tradition, you could don the veil and go to your altar and light a candle and do an invocation while you wear your veil. And this will help open up your communion with deity, whatever way you call deity. So I just want to come here today and show you my veil and get you guys thinking about this. And tell me in the box below, do you like the veil? Do you wear the veil? Anyways, I have some more veil pictures here at the end of the video. Have you thought about, have you heard about this, I'm curious to know how many of you that are Wiccans or pagans are familiar with the pagan veiling tradition. And not only was it ancient, but it's now coming back in our modern times and the people are taking the veil. Have you worn the veil? Do you go in public with the veil? I want to hear your thoughts about all of this. Okay, so tell me in the box below what you think about the veil. Would you like to wear the veil? Have you worn the veil? What type of veil do you have? What color is it? What fabric is it? Anyways, guys, I'm so glad you're here. Listen, if you want to get on my schedule also for a private reading, check the info below. Got links to my website, links to my books, all down below. If you want to help me out, definitely check me out. Well, guys, as I said, I'm traveling this week, and we're going to have different things throughout the week. So be back here tomorrow on Thursday. It's Vlog Thursday. I think we're going to be having a storm, so if it's nice weather, I might go to the beach, but if it's not, we'll stay inside. And at some point, maybe we'll do that tomorrow too. I'm thinking about doing an astrology chart for Meghan Markle. And let's see what's in her astrology. She's a new member of the royal family, soon to be. Would you guys like to learn about her astrology? We can talk about that as well. You guys are best. I love you. Thanks for being here at Spirit Channel. Listen, keep it here and help me out. Like this video, favorite it, share it with your friends. Hit subscribe if you haven't done so. Be part of our scene. You guys are the best. I love you. We'll see you back here tomorrow for another adventure. Until then, may you always blessed